This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Ratliff Show. The Zach Ratliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Texas, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad you're with me. Thank God for another day. It's beautiful outside, and just thank God for it. I thank God for it every day. He's allows me to be on this earth. Anyway, we got a lot to do today. We've got a lot to get into, and so let's rock and roll. Let's make it happen. Let's see where we get to. We're gonna have some national stuff, some local stuff. Maybe some state stuff. I can't remember all my notes, but we'll get to it as we go, and we'll just see what happens. Okay, we're gonna start off with Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds, man, he's a big deal. He's a big deal in Florida. Golly, he's a big deal. So here, Byron Donalds was on Newsmax, and then he reposts this on X.com. He says, the SAVE Act ensures only U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections. Last year we passed, talking about the House, we passed the SAVE Act, but the Senate blocked us. 235 days ago, we passed the SAVE Act again, but the Senate is holding us up. It's absurd this bill can't get a vote in the filibuster past the SAVE Act. The Senate doesn't want to make voting for only U.S. citizens. The Democrats don't want only U.S. citizens to vote. We have to kill this filibuster because, look, the Democrats are going to do it. The Democrats are going to kill the filibuster if they get power again. They're going to stack the court, and they're going to be like, here's the problem. The Republicans always want to play nice, and, we want to do the right thing. And I'm not saying do the wrong thing, but we are in control. Let's act like the Republicans like to lead from behind. They just act like losers and cowards all the time. Just losers and cowards. I just don't understand it. Now, I get sometimes you have to give a little on certain bills or anything, but when you're the party that makes the rules right now, make the rule. It never bothers the Democrats. Never, not one time. The Democrats only call for bipartisanship when they're not in power. That's what drives me nuts. They're big on bipartisanship as long as they're not in power. And then when they are, they don't care what we think. It's just wild. This is from Clandestine on X.com. Trump is back pushing for the Senate to terminate the filibuster. Trump points out that this move will lead to easy wins in 2026 and 2028. Why? Voter ID and election security. Because only citizens will be able to vote. There's massive fraud. It's been proven. There's massive fraud in our election system across every state. If we terminate the filibuster and secure elections, the Dems will be permanently neutralized. And then all we'll have to fight is the rhinos. But right now we have to fight the Dems and the rhinos. Republicans in name only. So we just have to have the wherewithal, the gumption, the cojones, the whatever mindset, the whatever you want to call it, fortitude to go make it happen. But oh no, what if we make somebody mad? What if we hurt somebody's feelings? Because what if we do?
Who's worried about it? I'm not worried about it. If your feelings get hurt, that's on you. We're trying to save the country, that's the thing. And once everybody gets in power, they just want to keep their power. If they would do what's right, the people would keep electing them. They wouldn't have to lie, cheat, and steal from them and to them. Like Peter Griffin said, grinds my gears. All right, here's this from Shanaka Piera on X.com. Breaking: the end of NATO as we knew it, which this could be good. He goes on to say, tomorrow, December 3rd, also my birthday, NATO foreign ministers gather in Brussels. America's seat will be empty. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is skipping the summit. That's what I'm talking about, baby. First time in over 2 decades, 20 years, for those of you counting, a U.S. Secretary of State has refused to attend. But here's the one thing, here's what no one's telling you. Today, December 2nd, day before my birthday, Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, meets Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Read that again. The day before NATO convenes to discuss European security, America is in Moscow negotiating directly with Russia, without Europe, without consultation, without permission, because we're the boss. We're the big dogs. What we say goes, and it's time we start acting like it. Europe isn't worried about America. They've grifted off of us since the formation, and I think this says it in this article. Since 1949, NATO operated on one principle: collective decision making. 2/3 are 32 nations, one voice. That died this week. Yeah, because we've been paying for it. It goes on to say America funds approximately 70% of NATO's operation. But then when we tell them what to do, remember how they laughed Trump out of the UN in his first administration because he told them that they were going to be buying gas from Russia? And they're like, oh, how crazy. What a crazy. And then it happened. It's time that we start acting like we're the big guy. Right? Like we're the big man on campus. We're king of the hill. However you want to talk, we are. We're Billy Badass. That's who we are. We can't be ran by everybody that's afraid of everything. When you lead, you make people mad. Some people don't agree with you. But when they know you mean what you say, they will get behind you or get out of your way. That's the way it works every time. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. If you're coming, come. If you don't, shut up and move. And then that happens. Good for Rubio. Good for Trump. This is what I voted for. American strength. But then we have our media, right? We have our detractors. We have our Democrats and liberals, and then our liberal Republicans even that are against us. And then we have the Washington Post. This from Eric Doherty on X.com. Breaking: the Washington Post has just been caught red-handed slandering Pete Hegseth and Admiral Bradley by claiming they ordered survivors killed after a narco strike. The New York Times has 100% debunked the Washington Post report. Our media hates us, and they hate this administration so much, they're willing to lie to us and through the media to maintain their power. It's a collapsing one world organization. It's a collapsing media cabal, and they're fighting in every way. You know, your Glenn Beck's, your whatever shows are the new media, right? This is part of your new media. This is where it's going. And nobody ever gives up power easily, right? I mean, you think of one person when you think of giving up power, and that was George Washington. And that's why everybody was surprised that he did. They're not going to go down easily. Talk about not going down easily. And and this even goes back into some of the media stuff, probably somewhere if this is true, and you know, I've stayed away from this a lot because I've just been watching it ruminate. I've been letting it fester. But here we are. Candace Owens on X.com. I'm going to read all of this. It's all from her. Quote, I received information last night that put the final pieces together for me. I can now say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. Yes, I will be naming names. This is still Candace. I will be naming names and providing evidence for my claims. And I am making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to this God-forsaken organization to request a refund. You were lied to and leadership knew. End quote. Now, this is wild. This is a wild thing to claim. However, if you followed the Trudeau stuff that she was claiming, and then they were going to sue her and make her not claim it, either that went away, but that lawsuit went away too. So if this isn't 100% correct, it's based in something. So let's just keep our eyes open and our ears open, and let's just be paying attention to where this goes. But those in power will infiltrate everything they can to maintain their power. I don't know anything about this. I don't know any of the facts other than Charlie Kirk died. But I know he was assassinated for speaking what you and what I believe and what most of you, I think, believe. I know that Donald Trump, they tried to assassinate him twice that we know of for wanting to represent what we believe, for the things that we've already mentioned in this, for wanting America to be strong, for wanting us to take the lead, for wanting to leave something better for our kids and our grandkids. You think everybody's just going to give up all the power they have over us? No. No way. There's no way they give that up. Are they going to tell you that they're out fighting against it? Also, no. Who is they? They're the power brokers, right? The man who's holding you down. I mean, we should know. In the end, it's evil. Okay, this is more of what strength looks like. When I read this article, I want everybody to remember what Trump did with Iran, right? We fly some of the most advanced stealth bombers in the world over Russian defenses in Iran. It's basically the Top Gun 2 mission, right? We send bombs down vent holes through the most advanced air defense systems that Iran can afford, and Iran can afford a lot. And they never knew we were there, okay? So now, this is from Defense Intelligence at DI313 on X.com. Breaking: Russia and China have stepped back from Maduro at the height of the standoff with the United States. According to the Wall Street Journal, Venezuela has now lost the backing of its strongest partners. Despite his harsh anti-U.S. rhetoric, Russia, China, and even Iran have decided they will not step into the conflict. A major shift is unfolding on the global stage because no one respected Joe Biden. And they might not respect Donald Trump, but they're afraid of him. He's looked at as just unhinged enough to do it. He'll send fighters across the world to bomb Iran, and when everybody told him not to. I mean, bombers. Oh, it's going to cause World War III. Well, let's see. No, it didn't. Now, so from some of the reports out there, what was going to cause World War III was Israel invading if we didn't do it. You have to remember during Trump's first term, was it Syria? And there were Russian troops on the ground in Syria, and Trump orders a bombing. And they're like, hey, we can't do that. There's 150 Russians, I think, if I remember this correct. There's 150 Russians on the ground. We don't want to aggravate them. He called them and said, hey, get your guys out of there. And they said, well, they're not there. He said, okay, so we bombed them. We killed all of them. Then what do we call back and say? They're definitely not there now. Wasn't a big deal. They didn't want any. Strength through peace. Or peace through strength. Yeah, of course China, of course Russia, of course Iran's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want that. We don't want that heat. No. China's got to start worrying about Japan. Japan's firing things up. They're getting their Navy ready. Remember, Japan's already taken over China once. But before they came to Pearl Harbor, they took over China. Okay, China's been encroaching towards Japan. So China's got Japan brewing. Russia's got Ukraine. They're trying to deal with us on that. They don't want the heat that Trump's bringing. Good. This will save lives. All right, here from a local standpoint is an article from BowieCountyNow.com. Representative Gary Van Dever announces his decision not to seek re-election. This is a big deal. A friend of the show, Dale Holes, ran against him last time, and another friend of the show, Chris Spencer, ran against him. We've got Chris coming up here in the next couple of weeks on the show to talk about it. And then there's a guy named Josh Bray out of Lamar County. I'll try to get him in, that's going to run in the primary. I don't know. A lot of times in these, the way these things work is you call somebody like, hey, are you running? No. Okay, I'd like to run, but I'm not going to run against you. Who's your team? And all that kind of gets put together. So I don't know if that happened with Josh Bray. I don't know why he's running, if Chris Spencer's running. But anyway, we'll try to get Josh in here to see it. But anyway, Van Dever stepping out. Gary Van Dever, I've said it many times on this show and on my old show on the radio. Nice guy. I have nothing personally against Gary Van Dever. We didn't always agree and see eye to eye. However, he was elected, and that's what happens when you represent. You do what you think your people want, and what you feel is right, and that's what he did. And to his credit, he would come back on and answer for that. And did. So we didn't always agree on the way he voted, but I have enough respect for him to say that he told you what he was going to do, and then he did it, and then he stood behind it. So anyway, I'm excited about. I'm going to get to know this Josh Bray. Hopefully, I really like Chris Spencer. He's been on the show quite a few times. I'm a Chris Spencer fan. And so hoping for the best for him, but we'll get him on here. We'll get his opponent on here, and we'll see what happens. This is politics. This is the fun part. This is what makes it worth paying attention to. These state representatives, especially here locally, they affect our lives. Chris Spencer's big push is, hey, let's get rid of property taxes, which I'm all about. So there's that. All right, let's keep going. This is from Gary Boiler and Substack.com. Let me click into it. I thought it was going to show more right there. Breaking news: the immigrant population in America has decreased by 2.145 million people during Trump's first 10 months. Maybe the deportations aren't happening exactly like you thought they would, but over 2 million people have left. Which in some of the apartments that I was managing, I no longer manage this set that I'm talking about. We had some Hispanic people that just disappeared. All their stuff was gone. The house was cleaned up nice, or the apartment was cleaned up nice, and they were gone. People are self-deporting. And that's why Trump's glad to make a splash in the news with all this. Because look, let's say that you're here illegally. If you have a chance to take your cars, to take your family, to take everything you've bought and earned and pack it up and move back, wouldn't you rather do that than getting caught and then all your stuff, and then losing everything you've worked for? That's what's happening. So 2 million people, over 2 million people have left. Good. Illegals take housing space. They use our medical facilities, and then we pay for it. Our roads that they don't pay taxes on, we have to pay to maintain. Our car insurance, our homeowners insurance, our groceries, they affect the supply and demand chain. It affects everything we do. The education your children and grandchildren get. Oh, these classrooms are too crowded. Well, we got 30 million extra people. Let's start there. Right? Instead of just educating them, hey, you got to go. They're getting thousands of dollars back in tax refunds that they didn't pay. EBT benefits, cell phones, all of these things. You and I are paying for it. You know, I understand that American citizens need help sometimes. But why aren't we doing that for all our veterans? Right? Why aren't we giving them all, gas money, grocery money, a house? Thank you for serving our country. No, you got to figure it out with your mental health issues and the suicide rate among veterans. But if you're illegal, we'll take care of you. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem like something we need to be behind. What a wild, backward world we live in, honestly. Goodness. All right, moving on. Daily Caller News Foundation. Scott Jennings from CNN. Scott Jennings says he'd be shocked if Democrats don't nominate a socialist in 2028. I would be too. Honestly, I think that's what's coming. People just don't understand history. Not that I'm a historian, but they don't understand history enough to understand what all the implications of that are. How bad it is. Listen, socialism and communism don't lead to us all living in the Garden of Eden. One, because half of them don't, or over half of the liberals don't believe in it anyway. Garden of Eden never existed. But that's what they think they're getting with a socialist utopia, and it's not. Read Animal Farm. All animals are created equal except for the pigs. The pigs are, they get to live in the house because they make the decisions. And there's one pig, he gets his own room. And he will have you killed if you don't do exactly what he wants you to do. If you take away the reward for somebody working, they're not going to continue to work as hard. If you give somebody the reward for not working, they will continue to not work. It's fairly simple. You've seen it if you've ever done any group project in high school, junior high, college, whatever. If you've ever played on a sports team, there was always one guy that just sat on the bench running his mouth, the loudest talker of all. You tell him to shut up, he would for a little bit. You might have to slap him around a little bit. But he's always going to have something to say, and he'd be the reason that you ran. That's real life. Take what you know from the playground and put it into the U.S. government system, and that's real life. Oh, I got something in my lunch and you got something in your lunch and I want that and I want to swap it. And then that's what happens. But then there's somebody that just wants your stuff, so they take it. And then they're socialist. And we'll give you what we want you to have. So, yeah, I think Scott Jennings is right. I think the Democrats will nominate a socialist in 2028. Now, I've been wrong before. And if I remember saying this, or if y'all point it out, and it doesn't happen, I'll be wrong again. And I hope I am. Golly, I hope I am. All right, let's keep rolling. Where did they go? Okay, here it is. Congressman Troy E. Nehls, Nehls, on X.com. After more than 30 years in law enforcement, serving and protecting my community as a police officer, constable, Fort Bend County Sheriff, Army veteran, and 6 years representing this district in Congress, I have made the decision after conversations with my beautiful bride and my girls over the Thanksgiving holiday to focus on my family and to return home after this Congress. Okay, all that's good, right? Here's what's happening. You have your Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? All these people serve 5 years so that they get the full $175,000 a year and then they leave. This is the establishment. If you'll flash back to Trump's first term, all this that's happening now is about to happen. But enough Republicans quit and went into that they lost the House so that Trump's plan couldn't go through. You're going to see this happening more and more. The Republican establishment is talking some of these people into quitting so that they lose their seat to Democrats so that Trump's agenda can't be implemented. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, call me crazy. That's what's happening. It happened last time. It's happening this time. The Republicans are cowards and they hate to win. If you're going to make that decision, okay, I'm not running for election next time, but don't quit right in the middle of the session. They just hate us. They just hate us in every way. All right, FoxNews.com. Minnesota government workers blame Tim Walz for massive fraud amid allegations against Somali community. What? Who would have ever thought this Democrat would have a massive fraud? He lied about being in Tiananmen Square. He lied about his military record. He lied about everything. Yeah. Type of person I would assume is committing fraud. Don't worry. We're all shocked. Who knew? Oh, apparently I have two on this. This is from @the1776. X.com. Minnesota DHS staff are exposing Governor Tim Walz for engineering a system of intimidation, retaliation, and fraud protection that allowed criminals to siphon hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds through the Feeding Our Future program and others. What? These bastards are all corrupt. I don't know how this plays into it, but I'll play it. And we've been talking about the Muslims and stuff a lot here lately. So I may have mentioned this the other day, but I'll do it again. According to the American scholar Robert C. Davis, this is from John Rain on X.com. According to the American scholar Robert C. Davis, between 1530 and 1780, the total number of white Europeans captured by Muslim Barbary corsairs based on custom records is 1.25 million people from all backgrounds. Maybe it's time the young Westerners were taught this in school, he goes on to say, instead of being led to believe that only white people ever practice slavery. The Marines were started because of these very people, because of the Barbary pirates. Our government started the branch of the military, the Marines, in order to fight off Muslims at sea. He goes on to say, and perhaps it should also be pointed out that it was white societies that first put an end to this practice, being slavery, even though it still exists today in some African countries. Like I said, John Rain, X.com, if you want to read that. All right, everybody, that's your news update for the day. I hope God blesses each and every one of you. I hope you have a magnificent day. Get outside, enjoy the sunshine and the crisp weather. All right, we'll be back. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you, and have a good day.
Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Ratliff Show.